Muse for you, awesome websites without code.
Hey, what's up users? John with Muse for You, here to help you build awesome websites without code. And today we're going to have a bit of fun with a few widgets from museforyoushop.com. A lot of the widgets we're going to use today are going to be animation widgets, and we're going to create a unique landing page with the moon, and we're going to morph icons and have text animate in as well, and we're going to have some audio as well. So this is kind of good timing with all this talk about the solar eclipse. I actually didn't intend this for that particular reason, but I found that I made a theme about the moon, and it just so happens that today is the solar eclipse. So it could have been good timing, could have just been in the air where I decided to create this moon theme with the animations and everything. So I'll go ahead and showcase what we'll be creating. So I'll go through it first, and then I'll explain the different widgets that we use and the different animations that we'll be adding to this landing page. So here's the landing page. This could be good for like a musician, or just to get some ideas. If you're like an artist or anything like that, you can create a really unique landing page in Adobe Muse. So I'll go ahead and click on refresh so we can watch the landing page. Okay, so we have music, we have the icons morphing, and we have the text animating in. Let me lower this here. And then the enter button comes in as well. You can mute the audio here by clicking on this icon that mutes the audio. We're using the mute unmute audio widget, and you can click again to have the audio play. So right up here, the icons are morphing, text fading in, and then we have the audio, and we also have the particles.js widget in the background, kind of to create like a star effect or galaxy effect with the different dots moving, or just a unique effect there with the particles.js widget. So I'll go ahead and preview it one more time in full screen mode just to take a look at the different animations. All right, looks good. So you see those dots there, that's the particles.js. And if you click enter, it'll take you to museforyoushop.com. I will leave a link to this in the description area below so you can take a look for yourself. So if I click on enter, it takes me to museforyoushop.com. You can link that enter button to anything basically. So this is the landing page we'll be creating in this video tutorial. So let's get started. Okay, so this is what it looks like in Muse. We see kind of this jumble of icons. They're all stacked on top of each other, and we're going to download an icon set from pixellove.com. That's the first thing we're going to do, and I'll leave a link to the description area below. And we have some text here and the widgets here on the left. So the first thing we're going to do is download the icons. They're a free icon set. So it's pixellove.com/free iOS space-icons. The description will be the link will be in the description area below. All right, and then we have access to all of these icons. They're really great. They're just space icons, and this is what I use to morph the different icons. So we're going to go ahead and prepare the icons for the Muse Morph widget. So we're going to open up Adobe Illustrator, and here I have a 500 by 500 artboard. You can just go to File, New, and just create an artboard that's 500 pixels in width and 500 pixels in height. I'll click create, and here we have the artboard. So now I'll go into my Finder, and here I have the Pixel Love icons. When you download the icon set, you can double click if you're on a Mac to unzip the icons, or if you're on Windows, you can right click and select extract all. So here I'll click on vector, and I'll select the space.ai file here, the Adobe Illustrator file. I'll double click and I'll select yes. So here we have the icons. So the theme is fly me to the moon. So I selected icons for those different words. So the first icon, which is fly, I selected this rocket here with kind of the clouds underneath it, or like the fumes that it creates. There's also this rocket here. You can select either one. For now, I'll select this one. And then I selected the astronaut right here. And to the, I just selected stars because it doesn't really correlate with anything. So I just selected stars here. And then the moon icon, I selected this one here. But we'll change it up a bit for this demonstration, and I'll select this moon icon here. So the first one we'll select is the rocket icon because that's the first icon we want to see. So I'll hit Command C to copy. I'll go to the artboard and I'll hit Command V to paste. And now I want to resize this icon so it fits most of the artboard. So with the icon selected, I'll go to the width and height and I'll change it to 480. I'll select the largest value first, which was 56, and I'll change it to 480 so it fits most of the artboard but doesn't really touch the edges of the artboard. Then I'll select enter, and you also want to make sure that this is linked so that when the width changes, the height changes as well. And I'll select enter, and there we have the icon, and I'll align horizontal and vertical centers just to make sure that it's perfectly aligned within the artboard. So now with this icon selected, I want to make it into one path. If you go into the layers panel in Adobe Illustrator and you click on the layer, you'll notice that this icon is made up of a few different paths. If you don't see the layers panel, you can go to window and click on layers in Adobe Illustrator. But basically this icon is made up of a few different paths. I just want it to be one path, so I'm going to convert it to a compound path. And to do that, you just select the icon and hold down Command 8 to convert it to a compound path. Or you could go to Object, Compound Path, and then select Make. So I'll do that one more time. I'll undo, select the icon, Object, Compound Path, and then Make. It's Command 8 on a Mac. On Windows, I'm not quite sure what it is. Could be Control 8. But here we can see that the icon is no longer made up of multiple paths. It's just one path. And for the Muse Morph, it needs to be a compound path and not multiple paths. So let's do the same for the next three icons. So I'll go to the Illustrator file. The next one is this astronaut. So I'll select the astronaut, paste, resize it here in Illustrator to 480, and align, kind of resized it there a bit. Let's go back in here, 480, and I'll align horizontal and vertical centers. And then I'll hold down Command 8 to convert it to a compound path, and fly me to it's these stars here. I'll copy these, paste right in there, and resize to 480. And I'll align horizontal and vertical centers. Again, I'll hold down Command 8 to convert to a compound path. And then the last one is this moon icon. Command C to copy, Command V to paste, and we'll resize here to 480. Let's try that one more time, 480. Align horizontal and vertical centers, and Command 8 to convert it to a compound path. So there I have the different icons. And now the next thing I want to do is rename the icons here from Morph 1 through Morph 4 so that the Muse Morph recognizes these icons and is able to morph them. So here for the first one, you want to name them in the order you want them to morph. So the first one, I want it to be this rocket with the cloud underneath, or kind of creating, the fire or fumes. So I'll call it Morph 1. The helmet, I'll call it Morph 2. The stars, Morph 3, or that's 4, so let me cancel that there. Morph 3, and the last one, Morph 4. Okay, and just like that, we have the layers renamed, and now the stroke is a little bit too thick for these icons, so I'm going to change the stroke size. So I'll select all the icons, and here in the stroke option in Illustrator, I'll say 10. So the stroke is a little bit thinner. And I also want the stroke color to be white, so I can just go here in the stroke option and select white for the swatch. Because it's going to be on a black background, we want the stroke to be white. Okay, so there I have the icons, so I don't actually have to save this file because we're just going to use the code. And let's go ahead into Adobe Muse and add the background image so that when we add the icons, there's a black background and we can see the icons a bit better. So I'll go into Muse, I'll go to File, New Site, and I want it to be a fixed width so I don't have to work with breakpoints. It just resizes all the elements for smaller width devices. And for the page width, we'll leave at 960, and I'll click OK. And I'll double click on the home page. So there we have the home page. And I downloaded the moon image from unsplash.com. So I'll go to unsplash.com. And here, they have free high resolution photos that you can use for your projects. So I'll just type in moon, and a bunch of moon images come up. So I selected a moon image, and I'll go ahead and add it to the background of Adobe Muse. So I'll go to browser fill, I'll select add image, and I'll select this image here. Okay. And then for the fitting, I'll say scale to fill, position it in the center, and I'll uncheck scrolling. If scrolling is checked, it'll fit the height of the page height, it'll fit the page height, and it'll stretch the image. So having scrolling unchecked just fits the image within the browser window, so it looks good. Even if the browser window gets large or small, it's not stretching to the entire browser height. So if you had a really long page, the image wouldn't get distorted, basically. So there we have the image. Now let's go ahead and add the Muse Morph widget. So I'll go into the library panel, and if you don't see the library panel, you can go to Window and click on Library. And here I'll type in Muse Morph, and I'll bring in the Muse Morph Add First widget. Here I'll click, hold, and drag and place it into Adobe Muse. And I'll also leave a link to the Muse Morph widget in the description area below. You can access it at svgmorph.com. And then I'll bring in the Muse Morph sequence, not the Muse Morph single, because there's more than 2 icons. I want to sequence 4 different icons, so we're going to choose Muse Morph sequence. And here I'm going to click, hold, and drag, place into Adobe Muse, and there I have the widget. So I can go ahead and bring the icons in now. We have the black background, and we have the Muse Morph widget in place. So I'll go into Adobe Illustrator, and here I have the icons. And now I want to go to File, I want to go to Export, Export As, and here in the format, I'm going to say SVG. Right here, I'll select SVG, and I'll select Export. Okay, and we can leave the options here. So styling, inline style, font, SVG, images preserve, object IDs, layer names. I do want it minified and responsive. So if you want to just use these settings, that's fine. And then click on Show Code. And then here I'm going to hold down Command A to select all the code, and then Command C to copy. Go into Muse, and I'll go to Object, Insert HTML, and I'll hit Command V to paste that code in there. And just like that, we have the icons here. They look like a bunch of icons just stacked upon, on top of each other, but the Muse Morph knows to use that code to morph the different icons. I'll resize the widget container here to 300 by 300, make it a little bit larger. And there I have the icons. So there's 4 icons, so I actually want to go into Muse Morph, and I want to enable Morph 2. So I'll select the Morph 2 option, select Enable Morph 2, and we want to enable Morph 3. Just like that. And I don't think we need to enable Morph 4, so we'll leave that unchecked because we're morphing from the first icon to the second, second to the third, and third to the fourth. So that's 3 morphs. All right, so let's go ahead and preview. So I'll go to File, Preview Page, and Browser, and we can see it morphing. Looks good. So these morphs, they have a fill to them. So let's go ahead and remove the fill. And we also notice that we don't see the rocket initially. So let's go ahead and change that. So I'll go into Muse Morph, and for Morph 1, let's add an offset amount. So we're going to wait 3 seconds before it goes into the next morph. So I'll add an offset of 3, and then for the colors, I'll select none for the swatch. It's this red line going across. And then Morph 2, we're going to say none as well. And Morph 3, we're going to say none. Okay, so that should do it. Now let's preview. So we removed all the colors, and we set an offset. So 3 seconds are going to pass when we see the rocket. Then it goes into the astronaut, then into the stars, and into the moon. So it's a little bit fast, and it's repeating backwards. So let's change that. So I'll go into the Muse Morph widget, and I'm going to uncheck Enable Reverse Play For the repeat, I'm going to say 0. -1 would infinitely repeat. I don't want it to repeat at all, so I'm going to say 0. And then for the morph duration, I do want it to be 2. And for the second morph, I want the duration to be 2, and I want an offset of 1. So it waits a little bit before it goes into the next morph. It's not just going really fast to the next morph. And then for morph 3, I'll set an offset of 1. And the duration is 2. So now I think we're going to get the exact morphing sequence that we want. So I'll go to File, Preview Page, and Browser. So 3 seconds. And then goes to the astronaut. 1 second delay or offset to stars. Then 1 second. And then the moon. And then it stops. So perfect. We have the morphing sequence correct. So now let's add the fly me to the moon text. So I'll go into Adobe Muse. I'll create a text box by selecting the text tool. And I'll create a text box. I'll type in fly. I'll select it. And for the font, I'll go to the text panel. The font we used here is Droid Sans Bold. It's a an Edge web font. And the size, I think I set it to 72. Yep, and then it's all uppercase. The tracking, I set it to 5, and that's it. And then I aligned it in the center. Okay, so there we have that first text, and the color is white. Perfect. So there we have the text, and I'm just going to resize the text box here. So we have fly, and then I want to copy this text box. I'm going to type in me, fly me, copy again, or paste again, and we'll say to the, fly me to the, paste one more time, and I'll say moon. So we have fly me to the moon. I'll select this text, and let me go into the first website here, just copy this yellow code. Here, it's FFF1F. Okay, go here, select the text. I'll change the color to that yellow. Perfect. So now I just want to space these different text boxes so that they fit nicely and they look like they have the right distance from each other. Fly me to the moon. Something like that. Okay, fly me to... Alright, it might not be perfect, but there we go. Alright, we need them in 4 different text boxes because we're going to add an animation to each text box so that they all fade in correctly. Fly me to the moon. That looks pretty good. And then I'll center all of these within the site. And pretty good. Okay, so now let's add the Muse Motion 2 widget. So I'll go to the library panel and I'll type in mm2 for the Muse Motion widget. And I'll bring the Muse Motion 2 at first. Click, hold, and drag, place right in there. And then I'll bring in the Muse Motion 2 2D sequence because it's a sequence of 4 different elements. So I'll click, hold, and drag, place into Adobe Muse, and perfect. Now before we start working with the widget, let's add the graphic style names to each of the texts. So I'll select the first text, I'll go to the graphic styles panel, I'll create a new graphic style by clicking on this icon, and I'll double click on the graphic style name and call this Motion 1. The Muse Motion 2 widget uses the graphic style name Motion, so we're going to name it from Motion 1 through 4. So I'll select me, create a new graphic style, double click, call this Motion 2, select to the, create a new graphic style, call this Motion 3, and moon, new graphic style, and I'll call this Motion 4. Okay, so now let's go into the Muse Motion widget. So here I have the widgets, and this first one controls the entire sequence. So I don't want the sequence to repeat, so in the repeat option, I'm going to say 0, and I don't want it to go in reverse either, so I'll uncheck Enable Reverse Play. So I'll go into the first widget, and this is going to control the fly option. So here I don't have to do much. I'm just going to change the duration to 3 seconds instead of 2 because we know that the first offset of the first Muse morph is 3 seconds, and then each morph is 2 seconds in duration with a 1 second offset. So that's 3 seconds. So while the icon is morphing, the text is fading in. So I know this is a lot that I'm covering right now, but if you just follow along with me, it'll make sense by the end of the tutorial. So here we have a duration of 3 seconds. We don't have to add any other animation because we have the auto alpha set to 0, so it's going to go from 0 to 1, meaning it's going to fade in. Okay, so now we've done that. Now let's go to, let me zoom out here. Let's copy and paste this motion widget. So I'll hit Command C to copy and Command V to paste. Go into the widget options, and for the graphic style name, I'll just change it to 2. And that's it. That's all we have to do there. And let me bring this down a little bit. And I'll copy this next widget, Command V to paste, place it right in there, and I'll say motion 3. And then the next one, copy and paste, and I'll say motion 4. Okay, and that should take care of the sequence here, fly me to the moon. So let's go ahead and preview, file, preview page in browser. So we have fly, then it morphs me, then to the, and then we have moon. All right, so that's basically it. So everything is 3 seconds. So the first morph, I'll repeat it again just so it makes a bit more sense. The first morph was 3 seconds, then it morphs into the second icon, and that takes 2 seconds to morph because we set the duration of the morph to 2, but we also set an offset of 1. So rather than having it morph directly into the next image or icon, it waits 1 second. So that's 3 seconds total for each morph. For each morph, and then for each fade in, it's 3 seconds. So we just matched up the morphing and the offset with the text fading in. All right, so we're almost done with this animation. Let's go ahead and add the audio. So I'm going to go to the library panel. I'm going to type in mute, unmute. So we have the mute, unmute audio widget, and I want it to be unmuted initially. So there was a recent update, so it's now the mute, unmute audio widget 1.2. So here I'll click, hold, and drag, place into Adobe Muse. And here we'll add the icons. So I'll open the widget. And yeah, let me add the MP3 file first. So let's go into here, and for the audio, I downloaded an audio from Audio Jungle. So I'll double click. And then I'll go into the unmuted image. So I'll click Add File. And let's find those images. So here I have the unmuted. So I'll click Unmute, and then the muted image. All right, so that's it. And then you can resize the button if you'd like. Right now the button's 50 pixels by 50 pixels in height. So yeah, the width and height. All right, so there we have the button and we have the audio. So let me just center this, align to content area and center. Now I'll preview in the browser. And there we have the music. The image is morphing and the text is fading in. And I'm going to add an X rotation to the word moon. So let's go into the last motion. So motion 4, which is the 4th widget here. And I'm going to say rotate X. So enable rotate X. And I'm going to say 360. Okay, 360 degrees. And let's preview that. All right. So fly me to the moon, and moon flips. All right, perfect. The last thing we're going to do is add the particles.js widget. So I'm actually going to add this yellow swatch to the swatches panel. So I'll click there and click OK. Yeah, so we just went to the swatches panel and clicked on this icon here to add it to the swatches because we're going to use that color for the particles. So I'll go into the library panel and I'll type in particles.js, and I'll bring in the particles.js widget full screen. So here I'll click, hold, and drag, place into Adobe Muse, and perfect. So there we have it. And now let's go into the particles option. I'm going to change all the color to this yellow. So we want the yellow color for the particles. For the number of particles, I'm going to change it to 20. I don't want that many particles. I do want the particle shape to be a circle. And then the opacity we can leave as is. The size, I'm going to change it to 2 for the size. And let's go ahead and preview. We're going to notice there's lines between the particles, which I don't want. It's kind of a cool effect as well. I could leave the lines in there if I wanted to, but I'd probably change them to white because they're kind of the bluish color. So let me close this. So now let's go back into the widget. And so the size, so for line link, we want to uncheck enable line link so there's no line in between. And I think that's it. So movement, let's change the move speed to 3. 6 is a little bit too fast. And just like that, we've added the particles, and let's go ahead and preview in the browser. So preview page in browser. We have the particles in the background. We have the audio, the morphing, and the fading in of the text. Looks good. So the last thing I'm going to do is add the font smoother widget, and then we're done with this animation. So I'll go to the library panel, type in font smoother, and I'll bring in the font smoother light. So here I'll click, hold, and drag, place into Adobe Muse, and I'll place it right down here. So I can extend this a bit. Yep, there we go. And just like that, we have the animation. Perfect. So last time, I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and I'll resize. And there we have the Fly Me to the Moon animation. All right. Okay, looks good. We didn't add the enter button, but that's just creating a stroke, a rectangle, adding a white stroke to it, filling it with the enter text, grouping it, adding the graphic style name, and then creating another motion widget, motion 5, and adding, the graphic style name motion 5 to that enter button. I'm not going to go over that because I think this video is long enough. But yeah, when you group the enter button and the rectangle, you might have to re-add the graphic style name, because when you regroup things, I believe it removes the graphic style name. But yeah, that's basically it. If you have any questions about the enter button, let me know. In the first one, I linked the enter button to museforyoushop.com just to create that landing page effect. So you can click enter and then go to the next page. All right, so that's it for this animation. I know this video was fairly long. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you find that the particles are going over the text or some of the different elements on your website, you can just send the particles.js widget to the back. So just select it, right click, arrange, and send to back, so that all the particles are in the background. And then they'll just be behind all the elements. So that's it for this video tutorial. All these widgets can be found at museforyoushop.com. The Muse Morph widget can be found at svgmorph.com. I'll leave a link in the description area below. So to access the widgets, it's museforyoushop.com. And then here you can click on Join Today. Here you can click Subscribe Now to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Here's the Muse Motion 2 widget, and here you can click Add to Cart to purchase individually, or again, you can click Subscribe to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. The other widgets are here as well. We have the particles.js, which I believe is down here. We have the particles.js. Let's see the other widgets we used. Muse Motion 2, the font smoother, is on the widget page as well. And the Muse Morph widget can be found at svgmorph.com. And here we have it, and you can click Buy Now here, as well as down here, and you can watch a few other videos on the SVG Morph widget. So that's it for this video tutorial. So I'll leave a link to pixellove.com in the description area below with the icon set. I'll also leave a link to museforyoushop.com. In the description area below, there's links to other resources as well. I'll leave a link to unsplash.com as well. So that's it for this video tutorial. Again, I do this to help you build awesome websites without code. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video tutorial. Thank you.
Muse for You, awesome websites without code.